All right, we got Danny Pessy on the podcast today. Danny's been in door-to-door for 17 years, which is, I think, just 2 years shy of me. 14 years in alarms, 3 years in solar. An iconic producer. In his alarm years, he had over a decade of time where he averaged 300 alarms per year, which puts him in the top 1 or 2% easily in really any company, and worked at one of the biggest, Vivint, for quite a while. Was one of the not pioneers of solar, but one of the pioneers in the solar training space. Danny has made a quick name for himself, built a huge community, and has found a way to add a ton of value to hundreds and thousands of reps in dozens and dozens of companies. Yeah. And excited to have you on to talk solar and sales.
Man, love it. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
6 studio. Look at how nice this is. Oh, it's a television. I thought that was
It can change.
That's
we
sick.
can put your face on it next time you come in.
Please don't. God, man.
All right. So we were so jumping back into where we were a second ago. What attrition? So just jumping to numbers post sale in solar. I guess maybe before that, what's the scope of visibility that you have, like kind of generally speaking, across the nation, states, and years in solar?
Just from like what I've noticed in the last year for cancellations?
Well, I would say, to preface that, what type of exposure do you have? What type of visibility do you have doing consulting? Yeah, and then following that up with.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of connections to, some of the biggest organizations. I was Lumio's national trainer for a year. Done work with a lot of regional players. So who other some big names people would know? Titanium Solar, Amps, Smart Home, Spartan Solar, Simple Solar, a lot of individual one-on-ones, Click Solar, a bunch of guys around the space. VSLR, I was working with them back in the day. Chance Allred, president of sales, was my old manager. So get a lot of exposure to that. Some East Coast guys that basically they all worked for like these big organizations, then spun off and started their own. And obviously that's been a huge trend here in the space. And so I get to experience a lot of these organizations. And Nevo's another really big one, John Frampton.
Oh yeah.
And so they're one of my top clients. And so I get to learn from these guys, see what's working well, and then give them advice on what else is working well in the space. And so it's been a lot of fun. I get my hands in a couple different organizations, put my little 2 cents on it here and there, and dude, I get to see what people are doing well, what people aren't. Ricardo Ricky, top solar rep in the space, a good client of mine, and did 580 last year. And so, have his training platform all on my course, and he breaks down how he did that. And he's got a phenomenal pre-fame and preface to how he sells, and it's just super, super impressive. And I've loved just kind of learning from all these guys and what they've been able to, accomplish and see what they do, and then being able to take it in and then filter it out to make it like conducive to what is scalable and replicatable. Because a lot of times there's a lot of good sales reps, but just because you can sell a lot doesn't mean you can train. And that's one thing that I've really practiced on. How can I improve my ability to train people rather than how can I just tell people how I sell? Because if you tell someone how you sell, it doesn't mean that you can freaking replicate that. And that's been the biggest problem with sales reps. Top performers can't replicate.
So the organization that you left behind or handed off when you jumped into consulting and coaching and training, last year did, I think you said 2,800 installs. So massive amount of business still being done by those people who you've worked with and supported historically.
Yep.
There was, I would assume, a path that would have existed for you to continue supporting them full time.
Yeah, and the thing is for me, I've always wanted to be a performer, and I've always enjoyed being a showman. And there's only so much you can do as a regional or a VP. And so I had a bigger calling, and I stepped into it initially when me and Taggart started Door-to-Door Con back in the day, and I separated from it right when it started. But basically, I always had this calling to be a showman, put on performances, and hold space for like industry stuff. And so essentially I got that itch, and that's been more of my life calling. I get more fulfillment out of that. Yeah. Obviously the money's better growing organizations, but at the end of the day, it's like you can't take money with you, but you can take the memories on your deathbed of all the cool stuff that you did. And I'd take $10 million or like the memories that I've created. I'll take the memories all day.
Yeah.
Because I know I'll be successful financially. I know 50 years from now, I'm not going to worry about money, whether it's 30 million I have or 100 million. It's never going to change what experiences I've had. And I've had the coolest life ever, and I've helped some of the coolest people out there. And that's what I'm really most proud of, is helping other individuals and teaching them, and putting on shows and entertaining. So,
which is your passion and now profession.
Yeah.
So
I get to.
that's what spawned Authentic.
Yeah. And so it's just about being, it's a consulting group. Some of you guys have heard about it. Basically, it's a spinoff of an old group that I founded 2-3 years ago, and now we're focused more on developing leaders in the space, helping them sell more, and making it very, very easy, applicable sales leadership, recruiting, and training techniques to scale business and organizations. And our clients have seen a lot of results with it. And it's been a ton of fun.
Yeah.
So just seeing some of the results, like one of my favorite things is taking a couple people new to the space and helping them push to selling from 10 to 15 deals a month to over 30, 40, all involved with the program. So
yeah,
it's been really cool.
What's your, if you had to cast a vision now for who Authentic is inside of the solar space 2 years and 5 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be the number one place for businesses and companies to come to Authentic and get consulting outside of their own industry. The thing is Authentic isn't just me. I have multiple coaches and trainers that are on work with me, because what's happening is there's a lot of people in the space who are good, but they don't want to go and continue to recruit and train, and they just want to be coaches. So I found some really good ones that have a lot of validity that can help with that. Like my 2 trainers are former president of sales for 2 different huge organizations. So I've got some hitters on there. They just didn't want to go out and recruit anymore, but they're freaking fantastic trainers. Got it. So now they just work a la carte. And so instead of paying a guy basically a salary plus overrides, you can hire my guy for a one-time fee and he'll teach you guys that stuff. And so that's the big thing that I've really
a la carte expertise.
Yeah, a la carte expertise. And so that's the thing, is there's just so much education you can get in the space now, and that's where I'm really focused on bringing it all into one house and helping developing solar. I think solar is going to be the future. Yeah. And I feel that we're just getting started with this.
When you say future, do you mean future in the door-to-door world? Yeah.
I mean, there'll still be pest control and stuff. Those are like good college warm-up jobs, but this is like the professional for the big boys. And so that's where I foresee this continuing to grow in the space. And, I am going to make sure I play a big part in it, because, I have an attachment to this industry, because this is where I grew up, and I've developed into someone I never thought I could be. So I've been passed a lot of really good information, and I took that information, used it, applied it, and it worked. And I have an ethical duty and obligation to pass that on to the next generation. So for me, that's something that I'm really pumped on to facilitate.
Yeah, it's interesting to see I came into door to door in 2004. You'd have been a little bit after that, 6 or 7, something like that.
Oh yeah, 08.
08. Okay, yeah. So got you by 4 years. I had a 2-year hiatus in the middle, but I mean, it was pencils. It was not pencils, but it was pens and paper, tracking sheets. Then I remember in 2011, you printed out the MapQuest maps and circled the homes, and all of a sudden they had plot lines. I'm like, oh wow, you can actually see where the homes are, and that was to where we are now, where everything's on your phone, and now insane. It's recording what you're saying and kind of dictating that and figuring out where the opportunities to enhance your sales product. Like there's massive technological enablement right now. On that thread, there's all of the AI that's coming out, right? That's going to disrupt every industry.
Bonkers, yeah.
Where do you think door-to-door solar, specifically the combination of those two, are going to intersect with technology in ways that they aren't right now? Where do you think the biggest friction points might be 2 to 3 years from now in this space, for those who are watching that are in this space?
Yeah, I think that, automation is obviously going to be insane, and AI is going to be crazy, but you still need somebody to sell it, because people have questions, and technology isn't to the point where it's going to help people overcome that. You're always going to need a salesperson. Like you'll lose some deals, like there'll be DIY stuff that comes out in the future, like the cheap, low cost option. Like those guys always come, but they never replace the people that need to go out and sell it, because the money's made when you take people that are not in the market and bringing them in the market, and that's where the highest margins are. For people that are in the market, the margins get lower. Yeah. And so that's why those companies will scoop up the low-hanging fruit, but the big bucks is made when you take people that are not thinking about solar or whatever market that you're in and bring them into the space, and that's where the margins are made. So I don't foresee it making that big of a deal.
And on that, I guess on that vein, you're passionate about the setter half of a setter closer model. I mean, you're passionate about solar, but the opportunity and the just the scalability of the setter closer model, and I know you're bullish on setters, reaping the most benefit in any given sale or transaction.
Yeah, because I mean, I was a setter my whole life, and then I set for myself, and then I closed it. And so the thing is I realized where the hardest
part of the job is the hardest.
Yeah, and it's the setting. And so the thing is they don't get enough credit. Closing's easy, especially when it comes to solar. It's like, bro, what you took someone from renting something to ownership that's cheaper over a 25-year period? Like, that's not hard. And so the hard part is developing into somebody that can handle the rejection on a continual basis. Because at the end of the day, closing solar doesn't develop you into a better human.
Yeah.
Okay. It helps you make money for sure, but the emotional rejection you take on a day-to-day basis of being a setter is going to develop you into some of the best people this world has ever seen. And me literally being a byproduct of it, I was a freaking goofball before I got into door-to-door, and I've literally a completely different person for the most part since when I started. And it's like that's what I've seen happen. And if America is going to continue to lead out where it's at, we need more people that can develop into leaders and grow into powerful individuals rather than order takers.
Yeah.
And so I foresee the setting part is going to, number one, help people develop into leaders more. But two, if we are going to try to get solar to have mass adoption rate, we're going to need a lot of people setting deals. And if everybody doesn't want to knock, then who's going to get the appointments? And it's like, there's only so many lead companies you can spend money on. You need someone out there grinding and getting it done.
Yeah.
So I foresee that if you set your organization up to compensate setters the right way, your organization can double and triple if you do it properly. And so that's what I'm excited to see what happens here.
We've got the market reports. I think SCIA, they look at the predictive increase in solar. I know at SolarCon they talked about that 2027, 2028 is when many are predicting like a massive influx. That's when we go from because it started with innovators and we're still in the early adopters, and that's when we hit early majority. So that's where you see a 5x increase in purchasing between now and then. So if there is a shelf life for the uniqueness of the value that can be created for customers and for salespeople, and would you say that it is proper to think of that shelf life as being 4 to 5 more years before things change radically?
I think it's sooner.
Okay.
And I think it's the federal regulations coming in. And that's the hard part is there's too many people that are doing solar the wrong way. And it's causing the Department of Justice to start looking into it. Like that's going to be a big issue that people have, and that's what's going to push regulation sooner. A big proponent of regulation has been Sunrun. Sunrun has been one of the leaders in pushing it.
Probably because they're super buttoned up with what they allow into their pipe, and
so they're like, well, dude, we're losing to all these people selling it short, unethically. So it's like they're really pushing that. And then with this utility company, like you saw it firsthand what happens when you get like greed and you get like what's it called? People paying off the government roundabout ways with California, NEM 3.0.
Yeah.
It's like that doesn't make sense. It's like to meet the energy needs, you can't suppress the solar growth by not giving back buybacks. So there's literally a class action lawsuit right now against
that.
Yeah, against the public utility commissions.
In California.
Public Utility Commissions. Yeah, California Public Utility Commissions. There's a class action lawsuit fighting against that.
Interesting. Do you think that? So do you think that regulation is going to come in the form of federal government or utilities?
Both.
Both.
And
local, federal, everything.
The problem is these other guys are all conspiring against solar.
Yeah.
No one from solar is conspiring against them, and so we're I've been behind the scenes working with the few leaders of the solar space that own large installation organizations to start trying to put together an association to fight against all this stuff happening. And so, there needs to be more unity behind that instead of all these solar guys fighting against each other. It's not against us, dude. If we fought against some of these utility companies, we could get the rates that we could get even better deals for us, faster permits, faster installs. Like all this stuff is caught up because they're losing market share.
Yeah. The Goodleap, who's the owner there, the CEO? I forget his name. Hayes Bernard. Yeah. So he talked about, if we don't regulate ourselves better, regulation's coming.
Yeah.
And regulation's coming.
It's not
at this
we're
point.
not going to, unfortunately, there's not the guys, people like I know half the people in the space, like they don't show up to the events. They just scam people. They don't want to pay for training. They don't want to get better.
You say half. Is that, do you think you're being pessimistic, or do you think legitimately half?
Legitimately half people don't give two shits. Like a lot of these companies, like
I mean, you'll
don't
strike me
train
as a
people.
pessimist. So
I mean, I'm a pessimist, but I feel like a majority of these people don't truly care. They will be on to the next thing once this is done, and that's the sad part. Is that's why I think that you can try to do it the good way, but the only way you're going to do it is put the hammer down on people. And so, unfortunately, the bad is going to outweigh the good on this, and so a lot of these guys that are doing it the wrong way are just going to freaking ruin it for everyone else.
yeah.
Unless something crazy.
What do you think
happens.
changes?
I think the government gets involved regulating commissions, like how real estate agents know how much commission they make on it.
Yep.
I think that's going to be a big one.
Is that going to be more transparency or actual
more
limits?
Transparency and limits.
Yeah.
Plus, you've got to get licensed to go out and do it. Like,
that one makes sense.
Yeah, you got to be a licensed solar sales representative. They've got the contracting licenses, but they're different. Truth and lending disclosures. Yeah. So I think all
dealer
these things,
fees, all that stuff.
Fees. Yeah, man. And so it just sucks because there's just people doing it the wrong way right now, and it's gonna happen. They ate too much, gluttony.
Yeah. So on that note, because I think there are a lot of people doing it wrong, and I mean it's not hard to find customer issues from. So many different directions, so many different issues, sales related, operations related, install related, install companies that aren't around to honor their warranties, the reps that disappear, give a bad number. And all that being said, most people still sell solar at what I would consider to be a premium, right? Yeah. Because if you don't, you're not going to build a sales force because that's the competitive rate. So how do you justify selling solar at a rate that you would probably agree is a premium? It's not a bottom barrel. You're not trying to be Walmart. Like, what do you make sure that you do to provide value? Okay.
No, because I mean, what are the utility companies charging? A premium.
Sure.
And they continue to raise it. Like, you need to make healthy margins, because if you don't make margins, you can't scale the organization. Because even if you sell it at a premium, you got three things that win here. You win for the customer, you win for the sales rep and the company, and then you also, the biggest winner out of all of them is the planet.
Yeah.
And so the thing is if you're not at a premium, you can't scale that, and the planet dies.
Yeah.
So therefore, there is no premium you can charge where it's unethical or you're making too much. So the people that race to the bottom, they use that as a scapegoat to alleviate having to use skill, technique, practice drilling, and rehearsing.
Yeah.
And so instead of working hard and getting better, they drop their prices. And so there's a complete business models based around people dropping prices, and that's not going to solve your problem. That's not going to work. And so the thing is if you continue to drill and get better, you could sell at a higher value because people are going to do it. And if you don't believe that that's true, the utility company has been bending clients over for years and making gads of money.
Yeah.
And no one said anything.
Yeah. So I would still call that a premium, and it's a justifiable premium.
Yeah.
If you're creating more value in the conversation and honoring the commitments and the promises after the fact.
Yeah, I think premiums when you get like a 4 plus PPW, 4.5.
Well, I'm not talking gouging. Like there's gouging, there's premium, there's bottom.
That's what
right?
I look as gouging.
Got it. So I'm not talking that. Yeah.
That's bonkers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nomenclature matters.
Yes. Very true.
All right. What? I asked you this earlier. When you look at attrition rates, what is a normal? What is a normal rate that you've seen? What's the worst, and what is some of the best that an organization has been able to sustain, not an individual?
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of depends on which group, but I've seen some guys up where they're getting 50, 60, 70% cancel rates, and then some where it's 50-50. So just like I said, depends on how the organization sells, but fast installs, having the right installer that get it installed quickly and doing it the right way helps. So I know that's super key. The longer the install time, the more likely they are to cancel. I've always been, people are like, well, I'd rather have everything done, 2, 4, 5, 6 months out. And so I get extra referrals. But the problem is you sell these deals and they don't get installed because it's taking so long. You 100% miss those out.
Yeah.
And even though that customer might fail an inspection or something like that, still that client's on, and they're going to be mad at you year one, but the next 25 years, they're going to love it.
Yeah.
So I have a unique
You'd still rather get it installed faster,
yeah,
fail the inspection, fix it, apologize, and be a resource for 25 years.
Because and the thing is the reason why that's important is because a lot of times customers overthink that, and they are looking for any reason not to do solar when it's better for them in the long term. So they might talk themselves out of that during the long term. During a longer install period, and then therefore you lose that customer. They never want to get solar again, and then you're missing out on the benefits to them, their families, their future generations, the future homeowners that buy that, and the planet. So for me, hey, you can get mad at me for a year, but the next 25 years, you're going to love it. Next 24 years, you're going to love it. So that's my whole thing. Obviously, there's some stuff that you got to do in the meantime to make sure you're doing it right, getting permits, all that stuff. But, getting it done quick, I think speed is going to be one of the biggest things to keep organizations healthy and running it the right way. Plus, having an EPC that has enough healthy margins so you don't beat them up for red lines, and they're making enough that they're going to be around in 15, 25 years to service these clients.
Yeah.
So that's the big key, is picking the right installers. Because I know there's a couple of them right now, like a large regionally based installer in California that's all over the internet just laid off half their staff.
Really?
And people are worried if they're going to make it. So it's like, you got to be very, very sure who you're picking and what companies you want to work with. So the APCs are very, very, very big decision makers.
Along with that conversation, when you're new into the organization and looking for the right team long term, so choosing the right company to back what you're selling matters.
Yeah, you buy the right leader.
You buy the right leader first.
And then you first buy the right leader, because if he's the right leader, he's making the right decisions on the installer. And so that's the thing, is the guys that are not good leaders will take the lowest red line or the lowest ethical installer and freaking ruin it. That's loud as hell.
Yeah. So leaders you've had, going back to Vivint, was where you spend most of your time. What to you are the hallmarks of a great leader, where you've planted your flag?
Culture. And so the thing is for me, I've been very, very fortunate. All the leaders I worked under literally built the solar industry. John Frampton, one of my favorite regionals, built Solar City door to door, Solar City Direct. Chance Allred scaled out Vivint Solar. Doug Robinson, my other regional, Legacy, Casey Baugh, Jeff Mendez, Bodie were the ones that scaled out Vivint. So I was very, very fortunate to learn literally from the best of the best in the space. And so with that, I'm an accumulation of the people who've literally built door to door as we know it, and been able to learn from them and replicate what I've taught, learned, and grown. And dude, I've just been so fortunate, and I'm so thankful that I literally learned from like the Hall of Fame of this.
Yeah.
And now I get to spread their messages. And although they're not actively like doing what they used to do, because they're all running businesses now, they're not actively coaching. It's something that I am very evangelical about.
Yeah.
And so that's just it's cool. Like, I feel very obligated to pass that torch.
So you say culture, and fantastic accolades for those guys. Anything else specifically that you think you use to identify or measure the great leaders that you've worked with, or who
else is winning? Who on the team's winning?
Okay.
So it's like, bro, you can have amazing culture, but no one's winning. That's not a good culture. So the thing is you see a culture, and what that means for me is, like, I go in there and I say, who's the top performers? Who's got money in their account? Who else on here is kicking ass? If you only got one or two guys winning, you're not in a good culture. Like, everybody was winning in those groups. And so that's the thing, is what I look for, is it's not
accountability,
just,
expectation, training.
The training is a huge one, is the education. How much is the owner investing into the people to get trained? Is the owner going to seminars and learning, or is he just trying to reap the overrides and say the same old bag of tricks he's used for years? Like, I'd stay away from those guys. The people that value education are the people that I have always done. And that's what I loved about Doug. That's what I loved about Frampton, Casey Baugh, Bodie Gardner. All those guys always invested in education. They went to Harvard, learned all of these things while they were running regions. And it's like, dude, that's the type of leader I want to be, is continue to get better and smarter. And so for me, that part, seeing what they do, what kind of events they're going to, what they're learning, and then what they're doing with their guys to help them make money outside of the job.
Okay.
So investing in education, or investing in like multifamily properties, other investment opportunities. So are they just trying to get you rich so that you can spend it all and come back hungry, or are they trying to help you be financially literate? So those are a couple things that I've looked for culture. And you can see it very clearly when you're walking around and talking to the people, like, what type of organization do you want to work with?
Yeah. What do you love about solar? Because you sold alarms. What else have you sold? Has it just been alarms?
I love that when you sell solar, you are not emotionally drained at the end of the day, where you can't have a life. And I sacrificed my life for so many years to get ahead in alarms, and just the way of the market, it tanked it. I was in a really good spot.
Yeah.
And if my accounts got acquired, I'd have been sitting pretty. but they didn't. And I was so tired, and I was like, fuck, I'm going to have to figure this thing out with solar now. And I would go out and sell, and I'd come home and I'd still have energy to have a life, to have a girlfriend, to be able to travel, all these different things. And so I had money. I'd not only have emotional energy, but I'd have financial energy. I was finally able to put money away to invest in different things.
Yeah.
And I wasn't dead at the end of it so I could actually enjoy what it was. And so, that's really what I loved about it. And plus, like, you know, I'm doing something good at the end of my life. I know that the earth is better because of my impact that I've had on it. And when I realized that there's 365 million people in the United States, half of them are renters. So half of them, 175 million people could get solar. And then I realized, dude, there's probably 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 solar sales reps. All of us could sell 100,000 solar deals, or whatever, 100,000 solar deals, and it wouldn't even make a dent in what the United States. I don't know if the numbers make sense.
We have maybe not those, but I could tell you some numbers. About $160 billion of residential rooftop solar, retrofit solar, has already been sold. But if you look at the entirety of the market cap over the next 20 to 25 years, it's about $4 trillion in residential retrofit solar.
Yeah. Money.
So and I suppose new build. So we're still only like 4% of the way in, and that leaves $3.84 trillion of construction projects that are going to go up in the next 2 decades.
Dude, like all of us could make a freaking $10 million. It wouldn't even make a difference. And so that's the part that I'm really enjoying, is you're being in the right place at the right time. And I feel that with security, we were fighting against the banks because the banks didn't want it. We were forcing them into it. Solar, everybody's behind it. The government, the banks, everybody wants this. And so it's literally not an uphill battle like the other industries. Like, we're at the right place, we're at the right time. And so it's just whoever can battle the storms that are coming ahead are the ones that are going to win, because what happened in alarms is the same thing that's going to happen in solar. There's going to be a lot of consolidation. Like a lot of these kids that are running dealers with 2 or 3 reps doing 1 or 2 deals, those guys are going to be gone. And it's all going to funnel under different groups. And so you already saw it with Freedom, master dealers. It's going to happen everywhere else. So it's only a matter of time, that I feel.
Is that what you think some of the biggest changes are going to be in terms of the players in the field?
Yep.
It's just consolidation.
Big time.
Okay. So the strategy, general compensation will remain the same, and then it'll just be...
No, compensation is going to get smaller.
I figured.
It's just, dude, it's not going to be the same. It's right now, because once more adoption happens, more and more people, it's going to be easier to sell. So there's not such a premium for what we get paid.
People are looking for it, and they're shopping for it.
Yeah.
And you're starting to have to compete in a more traditional sense at some point as well.
And then that's where our margins start shrinking. And so that's why it's so important to continue to get better, because if you're just waiting for that, dude, you're being an order taker. There's no money to be made. So now how are you going to sell more value? So that's the big thing that I foresee happening in the space. You got to get good. Something
that Bradley talked about at SolarCon, he said the solar industry is full of overexposed and undertrained reps. How do you aim to fix that?
I mean, dude.
And do you believe that that's the case?
100%. Everybody's overpaid and undertrained, and so it's just, the thing is this is the part that I'm dealing with a lot. Is, you know, when do they put down the Xbox and pick up the training? And it's like kids doing homework. Kids don't want to do homework, and it's just like, it's tough. If kids would realize that this homework would make you money, then it becomes fun. And you get addicted to it. But the whole negative stigma, because I feel that the education system is flawed, and, you know, that's don't get me even started on that. But basically, bless you. But
this chair sucks.
But yeah, I feel that, you know, if people started getting a taste of what education for do, they'd get hooked on it, because with an investment, you put money in the stock market, you get a return. But the thing is that return's paid, you know, depending on how much you put in. But if you buy education, you get that, and that can continue to produce for you over and over and over again for the rest of your life. Whereas that $100 can only get interest for so long.
When did you first start investing into yourself?
26.
When you were 26.
Yeah,
okay.
I kept winning. I got a lot of awards. I was always the top rep in my region, and then basically it stopped becoming fulfilling. And I'm like, well, dude, this doesn't feel good anymore. What's happening? And so then I started looking at coaches. I went to Tony Robbins. I went to John Maxwell. And then I found this group called Epic Impact, formerly now referred to as Abundant. And I found a group of leaders that essentially started from Cutco, and we're just helping leaders develop into like their best versions of themselves. And so I really got hooked with that, and I've been in that group ever since, and I've been a huge advocate of it because it's helped me leave my identity of being a top performer and stepping into a leader of myself, then my team, then my region, then my company, and now the space.
Yeah.
And so now I hold a high accountability for myself because, I want to make sure that solar gets integrated 10 times faster over the next 10 years. So that's one of my things, is if I can help the solar space do it the right way, instead of being cheap or gimmicky, being better trained and getting techniques and talk tracks that will help people sell more deals, which will help integrate solar more. Because people start lying when they don't have skills. If you're good, you don't need to lie about anything. Customers want it because you're freaking talented.
Yeah.
So when you start lying about offsets, dealer fees, how much it's going to be, the tax credit, like that's because you're not good. So you can get information. It's just putting your ego aside and learning from somebody that's better than you and admitting it. And then that's how you get better. And then you teach somebody else that.
Yeah.
So for me, I've had to eat a lot of humble pie and admit that I'm not the best. And I continue to spend money to get education and then teaching other people that.
Well, I mean, that's why we had you come in, is I think we've learned a lot of hard, expensive lessons in the last 2.5 years that probably needed to be somewhat hard and somewhat expensive, but maybe less of both. And so it's the
people
difference.
Learn the hard way. You're right.
Yeah. It's the difference between, smart people learn from their own mistakes, wise people learn from the mistakes of others. So you've made enough that you can help to guide, there's super, super valuable conversation and strategy session that we dug into.
It was fun.
Who's your target market? So as you build out Authentic, like who are you looking to serve?
20 to 25-year-old young adults that want to develop faster and become better versions of themselves. And that's the people that I feel like can have the biggest, as they're growing up.
Inside of the vehicle of solar?
Vehicle is one of them. Yeah. For now, that's where I want to focus, because right now there's just not a lot of leadership in our space. There's a lot of people that are looking to make overrides, but not looking to make people better. And that's the sad part, is I really want to help this space, because I was that kid. When I was 20 years old, it's only your manager that would teach you this stuff. Now there's guys that are utilizing third-party coaches like me to come in there and help their organizations grow, and helping young individuals develop at a faster rate. Because the fact that you pick the right company with the right leader that's going to make you a millionaire, bro, not very likely.
Yeah.
And so this way, by having a third party, you don't need to come work for me. You just pay me for, one of my services, and then you get to have access to some of the knowledge, and then continue to grow in your organization. And that's what I like. I can be on everybody's team and not try to compete with everybody.
And there's a fairly rapidly expanding sub-industry in door-to-door. I mean, on the tech side, it exists. On the coaching side, on the recruiting side.
Yep.
I mean, there's on the consulting side, it's an ecosystem that wasn't here 10 years ago.
No, and it's nice. You see talented individuals like guys like Mike O'Donnell. Oh my God, I wish MOD was around when I was younger. I could have cut my learning curve in half. He's phenomenal. Taggart, Stud, McCarthy, all these guys that are out there, they're all legit. I remember knocking against all of those guys, and they were fantastic. It's like you couldn't have access to these guys back in the day unless you went and worked for them. So that's the cool part, is now you've got some really talented people that you can learn from, and learn from what their specialty is. Yeah. So yeah, I'm really excited for the future of it, and we just have a lot of work to do, and it's just such a small space. We need to grow this sucker, and I hope to be one of the guys that help people make a lot of money. Yeah. So.
Well, you make an impact, you make the money. It goes in that order, right? And that's in the sales side, the leadership side, building a business, helping customers. What would you say for a new rep who's coming in, somebody who's in that 20 to 25-year-old range, out of college or didn't go to college, is excited about the opportunity for solar and wants the keys to the kingdom, wants to know, what is it going to take if I could only do 5 things? What would those 5 things be to maximize the opportunity for success?
So I would just tell you that this job is going to be a mirror for the rest of your life, and how you handle this and come at this level of adversity is going to be a clear indicator of how well you're going to do at life, because things are going to get hard. And depending on how you handle that is going to be, number one, a clear dictator of what you do. If you can't handle a bunch of rejection and you think you can go to a different job and just kill it, it doesn't work that way. Like, you can't get away from the rejection. You have to figure out how to go through it and get better. And so that's why, like, I've done this for years. I've never seen a person who couldn't handle the doors and then just go kill it at something else.
Right.
It's like they have to fight the battle. And when they kill it at something else, they fought the battle. They just didn't do it at door to door. They fought it in another way, some form of rejection. But I found that you develop the fastest and the quickest when you're forced with rejection over and over and over again. Just knowing that it's coming and knowing that you've got to mentally step up. Like, bro, after my first year of knocking, like, it was incredible. Like, I went back home, and I used to be a party guy, and I just saw the guys partying, being losers after I just spent so many days knocking straight and dealing with negative emotions and overcoming it. Like, I was like, bro, I can't do this anymore.
You're thrilled just to have some free time too.
Yeah.
Right? You have free time. You're like, you guys are blowing it that way and in that manner.
What are you celebrating?
Yeah.
You've been celebrating all summer for what? Like, I just got done knocking 3 months straight in Seattle with a bunch of freaking pissed off liberals who didn't want to talk to me. And it's like, I come home and I'm like, wow, dude, I really need to celebrate for something that I accomplished. And these people weren't doing anything. And I'm like, bro, not good. And then that's where I kind of separated myself. And I really went in on the Utah culture of the entrepreneurship. And, you know, very thankful that I got in at a young age, because it's like becoming a Jedi at a young age. You're too old to join the order. I got in right when I got out of high school. So I didn't learn any bad habits. Like, I never got into drugs. I've never done weed, none of that stuff. Like, I've been very, very focused for the last 17 years.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm gung-ho on
door to door is such an interesting, battleground to get chiseled inside of, right? But it really is like that. I mean, it's the reason that I fell in love with it 19 years ago is you will learn more about yourself, about people, about time management, money management, your inner driving force, your inner demons. It's like nothing has exposed me more than door to door.
Yeah.
And it still feels that way when I get out on doors now. Like we talked about it today. You're like, if I had to go knock, I'd still deal with all the stuff for a moment. It just exposes.
Yeah. And that's what I love about it, man. You either step up or you step out.
Yeah.
You can't there's fake internet gurus out the yin yang. You cannot fake door to door.
It's funny how many macho, I think back to in Alarms, we recruited a lot of fraternity, members like you did too. And there are countless examples of just absolute macho, fraternity president or that genre of individual.
Yeah.
Massive conditional confidence
in
that frat house. On the doors doesn't
It's
last
gone.
for a day,
it's
right?
Like, bro, you are a fakey 5.
Sitting on the curb crying, like it's there's conditional confidence, which is so limited. There's a performance coach. What's his name? He works with Pete Carroll. I'm losing his name on the top of my head, but he's up in Michael Gervais. He talks about developing skill sets in hostile environments. He said if you develop a skill set in a friendly environment, it's not accessible to you in a hostile environment. So the only skill sets worth having are the ones you develop in hostile environments, which is why peak performers learn in intense environments, because then they can go apply it to the field or the game.
I like that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you learn how to knock doors in the snow. It's like, oh.
So we like to say that people do this for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. Or I guess a reason, a season, or a lifetime. The reason is typically the most short-lived version. But there's a difference between quitting and completing, I've found, right? Yeah. And when you talk about what does it say about your future, what does it maybe predict about your future when you quit things? How would you differentiate completing something, even if it's a season, versus quitting?
Well, it's you set out for a goal and you accomplish it. I remember when the only time I left a company was at Vivint when it went public. I completed Vivint. I didn't quit. I left. I completed it because when I came there in 2012, when Pinnacle went out of business, I told them that I want to see this. They're pitching me on this company's going to go public. And I'm like, cool, I want to stick this out till it goes public. So I got recruited all the time. People threw money at me, but I had a season that I wanted to complete, and it wasn't done. And finally, when it went public, I knew my time at the space was done for Vivint, and I transitioned to something else, and then I blew up. And so for the thing for me is a lot of people don't see things through when shit gets tough. And so whatever you commit to, make sure you see that. Sometimes it's just you need confidence. I had one kid who was like, hey, I'm going to be a doctor and I'm really timid and can't talk to people. Like, I want to get my confidence up. And so his goal was to become a doctor. And then I got a text message 2 years after a summer. He's like, "Hey bro, I'm finally a doctor. Thank you so much for that summer out in Louisiana. Like, you helped me with my confidence, and now I can talk to anybody and I feel amazing. Thank you." And that's what he wanted. He completed his season. Now he's on to the next. And so the problem is people don't have big enough goals on what they want to get out of it. And it can't be money. Money is going to be a byproduct of what goals you want to accomplish. So using it as a vehicle. And so finding stuff outside of it, whether if it's a short term like a car or getting out of debt, those are great. But for me now, mine's potential. Mine's what can I do with my life? I am way past anything I thought I could ever accomplish in my life. And I'm still like a little surreal because I was in special ed growing up. And so I never thought I'd amount to much. And, you know, the thing is, you know, I'm done. My family's always been super, super successful, but now I'm at another level of where, you know, it's uncharted territories. And so now I'm like, holy crap, dude, this is nuts. Like, if I continue this, I'll be on the 9-figure earner level, 8-9 figures. I think it's like what, $20,000 a year or something. But no, it's like, it's really, really exciting. And, you know, investing and doing this type of stuff, I never thought I could, you know, put money into investments, and just I had low self-esteem. And it's because I'm around hitters now that are doing that type of stuff. I have the confidence where I could go out and do it. So it's cool what this job can do for you.
Yeah. What is the number one reason people that ought to do this job don't?
Ego. And they look at it that they don't think that they are going to be good at it, and the learning curve is too long, and they don't want to pay the price, so they're trying to find a shortcut. This is the long way. This is there is no elevator to the stairs of success. You got to success. You got to take the stairs. This is the stairs. And so people are always looking for a shortcut, and they'll continue to look for the rest of their lives. And so that's what I'd say is buttoning down your ego and realizing that, hey, this is going to develop you faster than anything in the world.
And then if you can own that as a new rep, and you want to get good at this fast, what's the path for somebody who's brand new? 30 minutes a day?
Videos, watching training platforms, doing something uninterrupted, focus, 100%, 30 minutes a day. And doing training, all that stuff. I mean, obviously I've got a training platform. I've developed a systematic approach to help somebody in their first 30 days to get their first deal that can essentially make them last an entire summer. So watching these videos for 30 minutes a day over and over and over again for 30 days can help shorten that learning curve. Because if you get the learning curve done, you get the income, then the income pushes you to the next hurdle, which is basically a summer. And then if you make the income during the summer, then you stick it out for 2 years statistically. And then if you make that income at the end of that 2 years, then you stick it out for another 5, and then you're a lifer like me. So, you know, that's what I'd say is taking the time to develop your skill set. And then you attract money by the skill set you get. You don't get money and then build a skill set. So many people are like, well, when I have money, I'll start investing into coaching. I'll start training. I'll start doing that stuff. Well, half the shit on the internet's for free. The stuff on my Instagram that I post is literally the best solar content you can get. And you're literally giving it away for free. And so it's like, you know.
You're talking about the be, do, have model, where a lot of people want to have the thing before they act that way or feel that way. When in reality, you got to be the person first, do the thing second, and have the outcome third.
Yeah, people want to have it first. That's
like,
no,
it's reverse order. No,
you can't have the nice house and the cars.
It's the hard way or no way.
That's it, dude. Yeah. And you see these fakey guys skip. And it's so funny. I see people on the internet all the time like, that guy skipped. I just talked to him. I remember I sat down with this one guy, and everyone was hyping him up, and I had a conversation. I looked in his eye and I knew it was full of shit just after like a 2-minute conversation, because he was claiming to have it without being it. He was doing it and having it, but he wasn't it.
Yeah, and it'll catch up with you. I mean, every time I've experienced that, what's tough is to recognize that it's fleeting when you see it in somebody else that skipped the step, right? And the same thing could be true when you look at people that are, you know, skipping a step at the sales process, treating customers improperly, or running to the biggest dollars. Like it might work short term. It always catches up with you long term.
It does, man. That's the thing. And that part is, dude, I see people learning the hard way. And I'm almost to the point where it's like, bro, do I try to intervene and try to help them, or just let the marketplace teach them? And so it's the same thing with solar, bro. It's like half these people aren't going to go solar until the utility rates double and triple. Yeah. It's like, when are they going to tap out? $600, $700, $800? Like, so you're going to do it. It's like when your bills are $2,000. Oh, you don't think you're going to do it? Like, yeah, you're going to do it. How long are you going to prove a point? Until your savings account's depleted and your retirement's done? Stop being a jackass. Stop trying to prove a point. Just do it.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing with this job. Is you just, how many no's, how many times do you have to look at your checking account and not have what you want to have before you start looking in and getting help?
My brain's toasted, but one more question, because you articulated it beautifully in there. So when you look at the logic versus the conviction, something that's so evident about you is the conviction that you have in the process of door to door, and in the product of solar, and then in the service that you're going to fulfill it with.
Yeah, and it's it's not so much that the solar is going to be good. It's that I believe it's good, and the customer doesn't believe in the service. They believe in my belief. And so that's what I'm telling them. They need to trust me. They don't know about solar, because if they did, they'd do it. But they need to believe that I am putting them in a better situation, and they buy my belief, not the product. And it's my belief about the product is what they believe.
So when somebody says whoever's ever more certain in the interaction is going to win, that's what we're talking about.
Yep.
It's your certainty. They need to believe that you believe that the solar is good for them, and then they need to trust you.
Yeah. And then they trust you because of your conviction. It's not about, and how they trust you is when you overcome their objections or you persist. That to them is conviction. And they feel that, they see that you're persisting, so they must feel that you're legit. And you can have all these words and gimmicks, but if you're so damn convicted in your belief, they feel that, and they're like, oh shit, this guy knows what he's talking about. The objections go down, trust goes up, speed of trust. Low trust, low speed. High trust, high speed. They move faster in the presentation. So how you build trust with somebody is the first sale that happens is you. You're sold that you're the right person, that you're going to service these clients, and that you're going to take care of them. Because what ends up happening is reps have low confidence because they've made promises to themselves and they don't fulfill on those promises. So then when they tell other people promises that they're going to do, they feel that this guy's full of crap because he can't even keep his commitment to going to the gym.
Yeah.
And so they feel that rather than what they hear. So they feel that this guy can't keep his personal life convictions or commitments dialed in, so he can't do that with me. But when you start, everything you say you do, you're going to do, that builds conviction and confidence in you, so the clients do it.
Yeah, I talk about that being the disarming the voice in your head, because the voice knows all of the bad shit that you've ever done, and all of the things you tell yourself, about those things, and all the weird thoughts in your head every day. Like you can't stop it from thinking weird things, but you can start honoring your word enough to stop giving it easy, low-hanging fruit as evidence.
Yeah.
And so when you don't give it evidence, and you believe that you're the type of person that follows through in what he says, your ability to believe and trust yourself is amplified, and then that increases people's likelihood of trusting you.
100%. So start easy. Just like make a commitment of doing your bed every single day for a full week, and then brushing your teeth once a day every single week. I don't know, dude, you brush your teeth 2 times a day, but you get what I'm saying, man. But that just little.
It's been a long day.
It's been a long day, brother. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just make these little promises to yourself and start there. You don't have to I'm going to make $1 million this year. You tell yourself that, and then you don't hit it, bro. You feel like a failure.
Yeah. Okay. So to go back to make the previous point more specific, when you find somebody who's not doing that, right? Who's their life, their personal life, their financial life, like something is just kind of like a mess.
Yeah.
But they can turn it on and throw down in sales, or turn it on and throw down to recruit or sell a vision. Your recommendation would be to beware.
Yeah, because you're building on a shaky foundation. Like it's temporary. It's like sold on hype, but then when you get close to them, it falls apart. And so I would have a conversation with somebody like that to try to get them some help to facilitate, because there's something in their life that they're not doing, or something in their family where there's a disconnect.
Yeah.
That you can provide them help. And as a leader, it's not always helping them sell more. It's about becoming a therapist and finding what aspects of their life could they improve on. Like, hey, are they hated by their spouse? Are they hated by their parents? Do they have a bad relationship? First thing I would try to do is find out what issues people have with their parents, and then seeing how you can intervene to help make it a healthier relationship. Like, that's the first step.
Freud would agree.
Yeah, 100%. That's where all of it comes from. So just helping people outside of the job, because if you only make them rich, you're a shitty leader. There's so many different avenues you can help people.
Well, people don't want to stay with you for the money. That might be a basic hygiene metric, a hygiene function, but they want to stay with you because you help them to amplify who they are.
Yeah, 100%.
You see them as greater than they see themselves, and you help them to become that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Sweet.
Yeah, dude. Love jamming with you.
Yeah, it's good. Any parting words?
Dude, work hard, play hard, give back. So if you're watching this right now, there's the third piece that we don't talk about too much is the charity aspect of it. And for you guys watching, if you haven't participated in an event, I run something called Solar Gives Back. It's the official solar space industry-wide like charity event. We're going to be going to South Africa this year, November 8th to the 12th or 14th. We're going to build a school and put solar panels on that school to help facilitate a community down there that has literally, I think, 6 hours of electricity a day. It's really, really bad. The grid sucks down there.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping to facilitate that down there for those guys. And, you know, if you guys want to, if you're making good money or not making good money, start giving back and see what happens when you start putting money towards charity and helping somebody that can't help you back.
Your relationship to making money begins to transform when you begin giving money on a regular basis to others.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy. My one of my favorite accomplishments is I think I raised about $150K last year for charity, and this year I want to do 250. So
all right,
that's how I measure my success now, is how much money I could raise for charity.
Yeah, makes a big difference.
Yeah, and then dude, when I started doing that, that's when I started taking off, bro. Money started been great. So yeah, man.
That's how God works.
Yeah, it is, man. That's how he does. So appreciate you having me on, man. So thank you again, dude. We jammed today. We crushed it.
Yeah,
and,
it was good.
Yeah, dude.
It was good. Appreciate it.
You.